In this video, I'll be talking about ways to overcome stage fright. And hopefully the tips in this video will help anyone wanting to reduce their anxiety when performing or speaking in public. My name is Cairo. I make music as The Curious Incident, and I've played in front of 5,000 people. I've played in front of 5 people. I've played in front of judges. I've even auditioned in an acting role, and I've been forced to hone my public speaking while working as a tour guide. Now, some people fight stage fright by using medication. They use things called beta blockers. Basically, what a beta blocker does, it slows that heart rate down. It slows some of those fight or flight responses, but it doesn't do anything to what's going on over there. So it might make you stop sweating as much. It might make your heart stop pounding as much, but you still have all of that stage fright up in your head. So you can use beta blockers, and lots of classical musicians use beta blockers now when performing. But hopefully some of the tips that I'm going to go through in this video will help you reduce those stage fright symptoms without the need for beta blockers. So how do you manage stage fright without using any medication? Well, first, it helps me realize that these feelings are on a spectrum. So some people might get only a mild case of stage fright, butterflies or whatnot, while others might have a debilitating case of stage fright. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis walked off stage mid-sentence and never returned to the theater. He only did films from then on. So people get it really bad. Adele vomits quite regularly before she goes on stage. Not on stage, but before she goes on stage, she vomits. So there are varying degrees of stage fright, and it's good to know that everyone deals with it. I'm not alone, you're not alone. Everyone has it in some form throughout their lives. The difference between success and failure, however, is how you deal with those feelings, how you deal with those emotions, and how you deal with how your body is reacting to those stresses. I'm no anthropologist, but it wouldn't surprise me if stage fright pretty much dates back to our hunter-gatherer days. You know, we need that adrenaline to kick in so we can tussle with that saber-toothed tiger, but because now we don't have to fight any tigers or bears or hunt mammoths, we don't have that action to offset that surge in adrenaline. And that basically leads us to having panic attacks, you know, when we have to perform in front of people, whether that's at a job interview or at an acting audition, or in my case, specifically as a musician. I really like this explanation from Jay-Z, because I always wondered this about why rappers quite often grab their crotch. And he's saying, well, a lot of rappers aren't used to performing live, so when they get up on stage, they feel naked. And what do you do when you feel naked? You cover yourself. And that's his explanation for why they always grab in their junk. It kind of makes sense. The first few times I was on stage, my body language would be very closed up. You know, I'd be holding my arms tight in front of my chest like this, holding the microphone. You know, I'd keep my eyes closed. I'd try not to look at any of the audience members directly. So yeah, I kind of understand his reasoning behind that. The second thing that really helps to mitigate some of the stage fright is to be prepared. So some of the worst times I've had on stage was when either I or the band was not prepared enough. Oh, you just want to sink into the stage. It is a terrible feeling not knowing that you know what's going to happen next, or not feeling confident that the band knows what's happening. It's awful. I've also been to job interviews where I was a bit uncertain about myself, and it really shows, you know. That aspect of confidence is something that an employer would want to see, and it would be something that a casting director would want to see if you're an actor too. They want to see that you are confident in that role. Preparation is not just knowing your material thoroughly. A classical concert pianist might have perfected playing that piece, but if they've never performed it in front of someone, then they're not prepared enough. They haven't prepared for that situation. There's a big difference between a band practice and performing live on stage. Two things that really help are preparation and repetition. So for example, at a band practice, it would be very helpful to practice as if you were on stage. Practice as if you were performing. Do the little dance moves that you might do. Get everything worked out before you actually are in front of an audience. And what really helps for musicians, actors, people about to go and do some public speaking on stage, or whether you're trying to get a job, going for a job interview, is to practice in front of a camera. And I can tell you from experience, the first few YouTube videos I made, I was like, this feels super weird and uncomfortable. I'm talking to, in my case, my iPhone with my video microphone. Yeah, if anybody wants to practice using their phone and what accessories to get to make the quality a little bit better, you can check the link in my description. So the first few YouTube videos I made felt super shaky. The first few music videos I made felt super shaky. But it's better to feel those feelings in a room by yourself and work through them than in front of an audience or in front of the person interviewing you at a job or the casting director. So I highly recommend practicing in front of a camera, practicing how you would perform, and you can watch it back and you can see the things that looked awkward or the mistakes you made. Maybe you keep like looking over in one direction, not the band. Maybe you close your eyes a lot, maybe you scrunch your face. All these little things you can then watch back and you'll get a good idea. You can show the video to somebody that you care about, somebody whose opinion you value, and they might intuitively say, okay, well, this is a bit awkward. Your voice seems to speed up too much over there. That stuff really helps. So filming yourself is golden. Then once you're a bit more comfortable filming yourself and performing to the camera, you can perform to other people. So let's just take the singing example. Let's say you wanted to go audition for one of these TV shows like The Voice, right? So first you practice your audition in front of your phone, in front of your camera. Then once you're a bit more confident with that, you can practice it in front of your boyfriend or girlfriend or neighbor. Just doing it in front of a small amount of people in a small room. That is what you kind of need to prepare for, because otherwise you're going to go into the audition and you're going to be sweating and shaking and your voice is going to be all jittery, which is not ideal. So when I did an audition for The Voice and I was shitting bricks, okay? Because you have to wait for hours and then they put you in this tiny room with a bunch of other people that are also bricking it, and I had to go last. People before me, like their voices were going all over the place. The one person actually, they started to sing, the note came out really wrong, they started to cry, they ran out of the room, and like everybody else is like pale as a ghost. Yeah, so it's pretty nerve-wracking experience. So practicing it in front of people before you get into that position, even say for a job interview, you know, if you run through a basic mock job interview with your boyfriend or girlfriend or mom or dad or whatever, friend, you'll be able to be much more confident when you go to the interview in real life. Thirdly, I tell myself that it's not life or death. I am not a brain surgeon. I'm a musician. I'm a singer. If I fumble something on stage, will the audience know? And if they do know, will they even care? Or can I make the mistake into part of the show? Once my drummer broke a snare drum on stage within 5 minutes of us having started our 25-minute show. So for the next 15 minutes while he got it fixed, I had to just talk to the crowd. And for the first minute or two of that, I felt like I was going to projectile all over them. But after 2 minutes, I was like, well, you know, what else am I going to do? He has to fix the drum. We can't do anything else until then. So let's not take myself too seriously and let's just treat them as people as opposed to this big mass of scary audience members. And it was fine. Fourthly, I try and breathe. And that might sound a bit silly, but actually breathing is probably one of the best non-medical ways to calm yourself down and treat some of these symptoms of stage fright, like that racing heart or that shortness of breath, you know. Just by breathing, you'll be able to control your heart rate better and you'll be able to mitigate some of those symptoms. So just breathe in for a few counts, hold it for a count, and then slowly let go. You do that, you know, until you start to calm down, until your heart rate starts to drop a little bit. And I guarantee you a lot of those symptoms will be lessened. And finally, I would suggest avoiding caffeine. Don't take that double espresso before that job interview. Do not have a Monster or a Red Bull before going on stage if you have a tendency towards stage fright or anything. That stuff is going to make your heart rate jump through the roof and it's going to just worsen all of the symptoms that you might be having because of performance anxiety. So steer clear of the caffeine before a performance. Right, and that takes us to the end of the video. If this was interesting or helpful at all, please make sure you tickle that like button. That would really help me in my YouTube journey. And you can watch some of the other videos I've made. I've made a couple of singing and music challenges. You can watch them over here somewhere. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the video next Friday. Peace out.